Welcome to the YoggNation, the Spirit of Gratitude podcast on the YoggNation platform. Hello, friends. My name is Yogesh Patel, and this podcast explores the themes of bullying, self-awareness, and the power of our inner spirit, including the silent battles we all face. Join me every week as I invite high-profile guests as we explore how adversity shapes us, how gratitude lifts us, and how we can all uncover the inner strength that we all have within ourselves. Join the conversation. I appreciate you listening in.
Hello, everyone. Today's episode focuses on myself, and I want to give the listeners and viewers an understanding of what it's like to actually create and grow this podcast, as well as share some really exciting updates in terms of the gala that I hosted back in August, an incredible interview I had with ABC 15 Phoenix-based with Javier Soto, and the podcast being recognized as a finalist for the Anthem Awards. So really grateful for everyone's support. Continue to like and subscribe, share these reels, share the video with your friends and family, because to take a step back, everyone, the reason why I care so much about this particular topic of gratitude is that negativity and doubts are always going to creep up in the best of us, whether you're a successful athlete or someone that's just down on their luck. And really what I want to do is just put some good messaging out there to help influence being the best version of yourself, especially as it becomes a war between the human spirit and what some of the negativity and technology and social media can do to damage our inner spirit. That's the basis, and got some incredible storytellers, previous 58 episodes. Hopefully you gain a nugget or two of wisdom that really what I want to do is just amplify the messaging that they are sharing to the world. And the ultimate goal behind this podcast is, and this is where I'm a little ambitious, maybe a little, but ultimately is to have a syndicated talk show like Larry King Live. And for those that don't know, Larry King was a very respected journalist for over 40 plus years, if I'm not mistaken. And what he did is he had this show called Larry King Live on CNN, I believe every day. And he talked to celebrities, athletes, newsmakers at the time, and getting their perspective. That's what I want to be able to do with this podcast to citizens. And so that's the goal that I have in mind. And, while this podcast again is there, I mean, it is a talk show in one respect, but it's not syndicated, and that's really what I'm doing. And certainly I'm super grateful for Backlot Studios and what they've done to actually produce this. But let's see, let's dream big, everyone. And again, I just want to extend my sense of gratitude, my spirit of gratitude for everyone's support that I've received. From the strong fan base that I have, the growing fan base, and just making a difference in society. I think that's what it comes down to. And again, the themes around the inner spirit, self-awareness, and the topic of gratitude and bullying, basically helping overcome adversity, and get to that in a moment. And the big news that I wanted to share first and foremost is just this week, the podcast was named a finalist for the Anthem Awards. Now, the Anthem Awards is a globally recognized organization, and the International Academy of Digital Arts and Sciences announced the finalists for the 5th annual Anthem Awards earlier this week. And again, the Anthem Awards being the largest and most comprehensive social impact award. And again, the purpose is to celebrate change makers and social impact leaders driving progress. And certainly thank you for everyone's participation within this committee to help YoggNation be a finalist amongst 2,000 entries across 43 countries. Again, this little podcast called YoggNation is a finalist, so I am super grateful. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, Cara, and the rest of the team. And again, kind of getting back to the updates. So back in August of this year, I held my first Spirit of Gratitude Gala, celebrating the podcast anniversary's first year. It was a celebration inviting all previous guests. 14 out of 49 attended. And what I am supremely grateful for were five of these previous guests that actually flew from wherever they were. Jen Hardy from Florida, famous YouTuber, former Wall Street executive, venture capitalist, Jean Patiadlo, coming from Utah, Seema Mathur, a former CNN producer, coming from Texas, a global philanthropist, Fairuz Ben Yusuf, coming from Texas as well. Had a dear friend of mine flying from California. And it humbles me to know that while I may not have the huge amount of followers for this podcast, I know that these individuals, the 14 out of the 49, had all come to support me. And it's again, I'm very humbled and humbled beyond belief. And they didn't spend their time and money and resources just to enjoy a very hot Phoenix weekend. They came to support me. They came to support the vision and the belief in my purpose. So thank you. Speaking of which, I wasn't able to pull off the gala without the amazing sponsors that I had, something that I haven't really quite paid due respect. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Jean Patiadlo, the title sponsor. We've got Vivek Patel, who is the CEO of a software technology company called Simplify PI that bridges together lawyers and the healthcare industry for accident victims. We've got Tobin Smith, former Fox Business and News executive, and now Chief Investment Officer of Transformative Research. Folks, if you want to make money, go to him. Full disclosure, I do partner with him. So thank you, Tobin, for your support. Fairuz Ben Yusuf, who's the CEO of Generosity Experts, again, the global philanthropist who helps nonprofits raise money and raise capital for their own mission and purpose. And then finally, it was a dear friend of mine, Nirav Doshi, who, and this is one that I really wanted to put a spotlight on, because he's the person that, again, without anything in return, he said, Yogi, I believe in what you're doing. Here's my contribution to help support the gala. So again, I'm just supremely grateful for all of the sponsors who were here to support me and help offset some of the costs for putting on this gala on August 9th. And a little tidbit for y'all, I do have other skills. I would pride myself in being a very amateur Bollywood dancer. So I actually got some grooves on and got my Bollywood back on at the gala. And out of that gala, one of the things that came about was getting some really good counsel and advice in terms of how actually I can improve upon the podcast. And so there's, two meaningful updates I want to share here. So the producer of Backlot Studios, he actually asked me to figure out who actually my target audience is. And because while this message that is out there in terms of gratitude and bullying and self-awareness, the inner spirit, there has to be, if I had one person to speak to, who would that audience member be? And so really did a lot of soul searching, because I thought that these themes are universal. They could apply to a young person, to a person that's young at heart, and everyone in the middle. And so I leveraged ChatGPT, and it was really interesting. So I asked ChatGPT when it came to who is my target audience for this podcast. I asked it what fictional characters would be the target. And it came up with some really interesting fictional characters. We've got Ira from Avatar, the Last Airbender. Never saw the movie, so I don't have context there. Interestingly enough, it also recommended Jean-Luc Picard from Star Trek Next Generation. And in real life, Patrick Stewart is a self-proclaimed bully. The third was Coach Taylor from Friday Night Lights. I have not seen the show. And then for all you readers out there, Atticus Finch from To Kill a Mockingbird. A little bit old, not present, but what really struck me is what ChatGPT mentioned, which is Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso is the target profile for this podcast. And played by Jason Sudeikis, of course. And why ChatGPT mentioned this is because the themes of what the Ted Lasso character and the show actually reveal is there's always a belief in people, even when they don't believe in themselves. It's the empathy as a strategy, finding ways to connect to each player as a human first, athlete second. Resilience through setbacks. This really struck me. Refuses to let cynicism define him, no matter how negative the environment gets. Again, we live in a fractious day and age, to say the least, in terms of all of the negativity and hatred beyond just the political boundaries, but it's also, who we forgot to be within ourselves. Again, a little side note there. And then the values over ego. Ted Lasso doesn't care about personal glory. He cares about the growth of his team and the culture they are trying to build. And the culture that I'm trying to build here is exactly the key themes of what the show Ted Lasso represents. And so the reason why Tyler from Backlot Studios, the producer of the podcast, wanted me to identify this is because little did I know that when it comes to the algorithms on social media, it's not that they're against you, they're actually for you, but for their own selfish purpose. And from my understanding of what Tyler had taught me, and again, I'd welcome your feedback here, citizens, is that because I have, to a certain degree, different questions that I ask that is different to each guest, right? In terms of, 1 week I have an incoming Yale freshman in Dinesh Doshi. Good luck to you, buddy. 1 week, another week I would have a world-renowned architect who redesigned Sephora's headquarters, Gary Nichols. Thank you. Another, I have a business consultant in Stephanie Poe. So as I put this content out on the internet through social media, YouTube doesn't know where should this message be pointed towards. Not that YouTube really gives a shit about me or Ness, sorry, but it's actually what would get a person on YouTube to remain glued to YouTube. Now I know it's counterintuitive, but again, if I have a more structured, defined audience, that way the algorithm can point out, hey, if this has Ted Lasso content, let me direct your content to people that like Ted Lasso. So I think that's going to be another way that I'd be gaining subscribers, getting views, but more importantly, gaining your trust and credibility with listening. And so I know that there's only 24 hours in the day, 1,444 minutes to be exact, and taking 2 minutes of those 1,400 minutes to see a reel every day. Thank you. Just wanted to extend again just a sincere thanks. And so again, and the second update on with respect to what came out of the gala was a complete redesign, folks. I mean, this is going to be a radical change in terms of the look and feel of YoggNation moving forward. I will retire the blue and the black and the white theme, and working with the owner of an incredible ad agency, Washington Chua from the Chua Group. He's helping me redesign this podcast so it attracts more viewers, it attracts more subscribers. The idea is to increase the reach, engagement, and impressions on the podcast, and I've selected him to help me scale this. I mean, you can never sit idle in any endeavor that you do. You always want to keep growing. You want to keep learning. And I'm just so excited to partner with Washington Chua that the assets will look different. Some of the wording will look different. As an example, the tagline is evolving. So the full title before was YoggNation, the Spirit of Gratitude podcast, focusing on bullying, self-awareness, and our inner spirit. Collaborating with the Chua Group, the new tagline is "Life sucks. Gratitude turns stress into strength." And I just think that is so aptly describes what this podcast is. Life does suck for many people, not for the fault of their own. It's just the environment. It's the timing. I know that a lot of folks are struggling with finding jobs, especially entry-level college grads. I feel for you. But everyone, you turn that gratitude, those stresses into strength. And the way that I look at gratitude, folks, is that everyone that you see, you always see them above the water. So if you have an iceberg, right, above the water, what do you see? You see the nice car, you see the nice house, you see the travel that they're doing. It's like, oh man, I'm kind of jealous of that. I wish I could be them. But what you don't see is what is below the iceberg. And what is below the iceberg, again, is the money worries, the health challenges, the anxiety, the family issues, the fear of a job loss, the death of a loved one. That's certainly something you don't see at the surface level. And gratitude helps get you through this adversity. It's what Seema Mathod, again, quoting her, she said, "You've been through a lot. It's going to be okay." And again, that's the type of resilient spirit I want to see in all of us, because I happen to believe that rising tide lifts all boats. Now, why should I care how you are happy? Well, it matters to me in a very selfish and an unselfish way. Unselfishly, I want to see you genuinely be happy. I want to see you be the best version of yourself, succeed at the things that you want to do, put your mind and focus to your achieving your dream. Now, from a selfish reason, the reason why I want to see your happiness is because I believe that there's a multiplier effect. So if you are happy, and let's just say you're good at picking stocks, so to speak, right? If you have these little, I would say, speed bumps and roadblocks in your mind that you're trying to get rid of, you can't be the best stock picker. Now imagine being happy. What does that do? It gets you in a place where you have a calm mind, you're able to think clearly, and you're able to execute. Now imagine that stock picker picking a stock, right, and having you win, and recommending that. Again, this is just an example. Again, it can go on. An athlete, right? The happiness and joy that a sports athlete does of being their best version is because you feel good about yourself knowing that you're part of a winning team. So it's, again, I'm not a psychologist. I don't know what that realm looks like, but this is just my perspective and my belief in terms of why I think gratitude is so important, especially with this new tagline, right? Life sucks, gratitude turns stress into strength. That's what this is. That's what it's about, folks. And so I'm just, again, happy to sit in this chair here, not to give advice. That's the furthest thing I want to do, but it's all about reflecting on your own inner spirit, rediscovering something about yourself, or learning something about yourself you don't have through, not me, but through the lens of each of my guests that have come on the show. So again, I just have all of this pent up energy and excitement that I just want to share with you. And, need a glass of water, folks. Give me a moment. Okay, I'm back. Now, what it's like, I mean, again, this is where, and I'm sorry. So those are the two things that, I'm grateful for with the success that I had with the gala and what has become of the event post gala, again, with the gracious sponsors that have that have contributed. And then finally, it was an incredible experience for my daughter, Riani Patel, who is the inspiration to this podcast, to be interviewed and a segment produced on myself and Ria on ABC 15 with evening news anchor Javier Soto, who's an Emmy Award-winning news anchor. And it was just so fun to see Ria do her thing in terms of educating the population as to what Tourette's is, and because in the effort that kids don't pick on other kids that have Tourette's or have tics. Again, that's a neurological disorder. It's like a sneeze. You just can't control it. So we were grateful that the ABC 15 team, along with Heather, the producer, and Javier, chose to do a segment on us to help raise this awareness of Tourette's and overcome the lessons of bullying. And so those are kind of the quick updates, folks, from what has transpired with the podcast since last time I was here. Really exciting stuff. And going back to the Anthem Awards, being a finalist, every finalist is eligible for a Community Voice Award. So basically, this recognizes the public's backing of finalists that they deeply care about. And so it is a voting system that runs until the October 30th. And so by the time this podcast episode gets released, hopefully there's just more awareness. And again, if for those that if you've liked the content, if you like a reel, if you agreed, if you put in a little heart, if you shared a reel, I would certainly appreciate your support in voting for the podcast. And I'll just be honest, I'm ambitious, right? And for unselfish reasons, I want to win. Ambitious in the sense of what Jim Nance had wrote in the book that he autographed for me called Dream Big. Well, this is my way of dreaming big. And if I can help support you in any way to help you dream big, let me know. We're all in this together. And so as I conclude just this episode, what's it really like doing the podcast for a year, actually 14 months. And to be honest, it's been a struggle. It's been challenging. It certainly has tested my, not resolve, but just the emotional fortitude to do this week in and week out. It's definitely a labor of love. I do admit that. I enjoy getting into successful people, learning, understand what they take, how adversity have helped shape their success. And but again, it's been hard. It's been challenging because you think that you put some great content out there, it's going to be seen by the world, but then reality sets in, so to speak, and you don't necessarily quite see the reel that he wanted to have done really well, not do well. And then again, I've never really asked the universe to make me to have a reel go viral. It will eventually, but again, compared to the other successful podcasts that are out there, like the Lewis Howes, the Jay Shettys, need I say Mel Robbins, Joe Rogan, they're already established brands, and I am just starting to get some momentum going in this. So I can see some of the well, I would say T minus 15 seconds, as you kind of on the video podcast see to my right. My daughter's actually building a really cool space shuttle STS launch pad, courtesy of Costco, of course. But you kind of see what she's built right now with the external fuel tanks and the solid rocket booster. So the main ship is still being built. But again, it's just, folks, it's, dreaming big requires beyond just the sacrifice, the struggles, the blood, sweat, and tears. It's really testing your resolve and how bad you want it. And I think that's another lesson that I've learned on this journey is like, how bad do I want to help influence others to be the best version of themselves? How badly do I want to have a syndicated talk show host like a Larry King Live? How bad do I want it to see you succeed so that, we all succeed together as a community, as a society, and the communities that we support, our schools. So all of this speaks to why I'm so passionate about this, why I will continue to do it, and periodically giving you insights and updates in terms of what YoggNation is all about. So thank you for listening. I thank you for your support. Gratitude all around, and I hope gratitude for you as well. Take a step back, smell the roses, all those little phrases and sayings. And another thing in reference to the evolution of the brand is, as I mentioned before, I think on the previous soliloquy episode, if that's the right word to say, phrase. It's about, again, gratitude to me isn't the flowery language, the handwriting, the piano music in the background. Not at all. Gratitude stands for grit. Gratitude stands for strength. Gratitude stands for healing. It's survival. And again, going back to the new tagline, life sucks. Gratitude turns stress into strength. I want to see that of you. Thank you for listening.